The life and music of Roy Acuff, the king of country music. Let me begin with his life. Roy Claxton Acuff was born September 15th, 1903 in Maynardville, Tennessee, a small suburb just outside of Knoxville. Roy's father was a farmer by trade, but also served as the pastor and postmaster general of Maynardville. He also introduced Roy at a young age to folk music with his fiddling skills. Despite his interest in music, Roy chose to pursue his baseball career. He played in school, and in 1929, Acuff was recruited to play minor league baseball in Memphis and was on track to play professionally for the New York Giants. However, in early 1930, Acuff suffered a series of sunstrokes that left him physically and mentally broken down. During his recovery period, Acuff returned home and began playing the fiddle. He went on tour with a medicine show in Virginia and Tennessee. Um, After finishing the tour, Acuff and his band, the Crazy Tennesseans, were discovered by W.R. Calloway while performing on the radio stations in Knoxville and were brought to Chicago to record. After recording his first album, Acuff was discovered by the Opry and first appeared on February 5th, 1938. He performed Great Speckled Bird with his band renamed the Smoky Mountain Boys. Briefly, as an aside, Acuff ran for governor of Tennessee in 1948, yet lost to the Democrat nominee. His declining career began during the late 1940s and early 1950s. Acuff's career took a downturn as his acoustic traditional sound was on the way out. In 1971, 9 years after being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, Acuff recorded Will the Circle Be Unbroken with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Roy Acuff died on November 23rd at 89 years of age. He led an astonishing career that began with him performing local folk songs and ended with the king of country music. I'd also like to go over just a few other key events. Um, in October 1939, Acuff's Wreck on the Highway became his biggest hit of the year. He performed that originally at the Opry. And in 1942, Roy Acuff and Fred Rose formed their publications company. Now I'd like to go over a bit of his music. Some of Roy's big hits were Wabash Cannonball. That's probably his most popular. Great Speckled Bird, which I mentioned earlier, was his first Opry appearance song. Some other big hits include Fireball Mail, Sunshine Special, and Wreck on the Highway. I'd also like to take just a bit of time to talk about this photo. I find it very interesting. Roy Acuff can be seen on the left. Hank Williams Sr. is on the right, and Audrey Williams, Hank's first wife, can be seen there in the middle. It's kind of an interesting photo there. I'd like to talk a bit more about his music. As mentioned before, his first song at the Opry, Great Speckled Bird. It is a religious metaphorical song that became Acuff's first big hit. Later on in 1949, Acuff recorded Tennessee Waltz, which went on to be adopted as one of Tennessee's official state songs. And also mentioned before, Acuff got a boost in his career in 1971 when he performed I Saw the Light with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And on this segment, I just included some fun facts about his career. On March 16th, 1974, Acuff appeared with Richard Nixon at the opening night of the new Opry House, where he famously taught him how to use the yo-yo, which you can see there in the picture in the middle. He hosted the Prince Albert segment or show in 1939 on the Opry's radio station. After that show ended, he left the Opry briefly. Acuff toured with his band and even appeared in multiple films, including Oh My Darling Clementine in 1943. And then here on the right, I just have a quote. As I mentioned earlier, the band name changed from the Crazy Tennesseans to the Smoky Mountain Boys. And the reason for that is that the WSM general manager, Harry Stone, he was the general manager of the Grand Ole Opry, insisted that the group change its name to the Smoky Mountain Boys. He felt that Crazy Tennesseans might be interpreted as a slur against the state, and he wanted to avoid confusion with Crazy Water Crystals, an advertiser for a popular laxative as well. So that's just a little interesting fact there. Um, and then just to end here, a little brief of it all. Acuff and a band member were in a serious car accident in 1965, and Roy began cutting Opry appearances back. I believe the band member name was Shot Jackson. And then by 1980s, Acuff appeared at the Opry. Acuff appearances at the Opry were becoming increasingly infrequent. By the 1990s, Roy Acuff only appeared as a guest at Opryland. Um, and then finally, on November 23rd, 1992, at 89 years of age, Roy Claxton Acuff passed away. Thank you.